Okay, but yeah, we in the building now, man. Myself, JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are back for a new episode, iteration, addition into the Conscious Approach live stream this November 16th. Talking about Dani Leigh and DaBaby and Kevin Samuels' interview with Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner, we'll start off with her. Brittany Renner is a content hub in and of herself. So we'll go ahead and get started with how our reactions to the Kevin Samuels interview with Brittany Renner. Kevin Samuels on his live show that he does a live show.
The brains opponent. Mm-hmm.
He does a live show on IG Live. I forget the days that he does it. Post Hawk on the YouTube. It was a good interview. It was a little insightful. But we'll go ahead and start off with that because there were some interesting tidbits. There was one angle in particular that I wanted to kind of discuss it from. It was my initial reaction to that interview. He brought up what I think is kind of the crux of this entire discussion as to why people, men and women, we just can't seem to get on the same page in large part. And there are cultural differences, right? So, within our cultural subset, and, particularly with like Black people, the Black community, if you like to use that word. We're trying to figure out how men and women can get on the same page and sort of find harmony amongst the sexes and sort of reach a place of relational harmony so that we can figure out how to make relationships work. We want to figure out how we can at least try to understand each other's languages so that things can stop being so dysfunctional. It's an ongoing conversation. It is a limitless bucket of content. There are podcast content creators all over YouTube, Spotify, wherever you want to look, that just deal specifically in relationships because, quite frankly, the state of relationships nowadays is in complete and utter disarray. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip of the I pieced together this particular part of the interview because I think this is the crux of the whole thing. And I kind of wish that Kevin Samuels would press her on it a bit harder, but he was diplomatic. I don't really have any issue with his approach to the interview or his style of the interview. He kind of posed these concepts and questions to her and allowed her to speak freely and provide her perspective. But I do wish that he would have pressed her on this particular angle more because I do think that this part is the key to how it is that we can sort of figure out why a lot of these situations are often so dysfunctional. So I'll go ahead and play this first.
And see, that's why I say the world that I think you talk about a lot of times is so different than the rest of the world that over here.
Right.
So when you talk about relationships and all those kind of things, you're talking about men that are living a different life.
Yes.
Okay, that's a small group of men, and those men happen to be very young.
Mm-hmm.
There are no 40, 50-year-old men over in an environment. So the danger is basing the future off of a very small group of, to be in music, athletics, or entertainment is like being in fraternities. They're very small.
Yeah.
But then there are the rest of the guys out there. And women often hear women like yourself talk about, you can have it all, this rebel thing, and it gets them thinking that they can do what you can do, and they don't have the means to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You ever think about that?
I do, and I think there was a time too before I met my child's father that I was the biggest man hater on social media, and I realized, it's because I did hate him. I hated all my experiences with them. I hated that I never got the outcome I desired. I hated the position I was in because
stop me right here. The outcome you desired. Did you go into it clearly about the outcome?
I tried my best with the awareness that I had. That's all I can say.
All right, so I will stop it there. We'll stop it there. But he pressed a little bit, but not hard. I'll put it to you this way: he didn't press her on that as hard as I would have. Mm-hmm. I'll put it that way. And he goes on. I don't want to spend too much time trying to put clips together, but he also goes on to talk about how, you know, you have men in other industries outside of those pocket universes who meet all of the criteria, so to speak, of what a lot of these women claim that they want in a man of high value, but they aren't paying attention to those men. You know, and he specifically talks about men who are in IT and coding, who are in business, banking, finance, things like that. Men who make great money, who are competent, who one would sort of discern is the type of man from a character standpoint that these women would go for. But they don't really get the look of a lot of the most desirable women, because most of these desirable women seemingly go for the men that he talked about in that clip, guys who exist in these pocket universes of athletics and entertainment and music. And I thought that that was a very seminal part of the interview, because it, to me, displays the crux of what I believe are at the heart of women's struggles with relationships nowadays. Because, you know, women nowadays talk about what's probably the biggest thing that women complain about when it comes to relationships nowadays is I would say is fidelity issues. The number one thing that they complain about is the fact that they don't like the fact that it's, number one, seemingly socially and culturally acceptable for men to entertain, date, be sexually active with multiple women. They don't like the fact that they can't just get into a relationship and be with a guy who is accepting of the notion of monogamy and not parading around being with multiple women, dating multiple women. But their ultimate downfall lies in the fact that they're making themselves exclusively available to that pocket universe of men who are going to live their lives and behave in that way, because they have no incentive to be quote unquote monogamous, because they have way too many options. So you're essentially fulfilling your own prophecy by dating the men who are the least likely to give you what it is that you seek. So either you're insane because you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome, or you're speaking about what it is that you want about relationships, but in your heart of hearts, that's not actually what it is that you want. It's one or the other, because you can't be as smart and intelligent and evolved as you claim to be, but keep making decisions to get with the group of men who are going to be the least likely to give you what it is that you seek. And, you know, to Brittany Renner's credit, she kind of didn't disagree with that. It's not like she fought Kevin Samuels on that. She wasn't arguing back with him. She was sort of accepting of the fact that that's how it is. And she even talked about how unfortunate it is that men have been sort of reduced to the sponsorship role and the messages inherent in a lot of today's music and all of this kind of stuff, talking about, you know, how men need to get them a Birkin and do this or that in order to get the box, and how it's all about funding their lifestyle. She didn't disagree that a lot of those things are damaging towards men, and it's unfortunate that men have to deal with that double standard. But at the same time, while not arguing with Kevin Samuels to that point, she didn't exactly suggest that she wasn't going to stop doing what she had been doing. And, you know, for the record, what she had been doing was exclusively dating entertainers, athletes, and rappers. That's what she had been doing. That's the record. I'm not making that up. Despite the fact that she has in the past talked ad nauseum about how she would be completely willing to date guys who aren't in those industries. She'd be completely willing to date men who do well for themselves outside of those pocket universes. But her behaviors and her actions just have never lined up to that. Mm-hmm. And so she personifies the mentality, in my opinion, of a lot of women in these times who parrot her behavior. They perceive these men in these pocket universes to be the type of men that they want. And so they make themselves exclusively available to those guys. Well, when you make yourself exclusively available to such a small percentage of the population, you're going to encounter these struggles, because number one, these guys don't have the behavior, the maturity level to give you what it is that you seek. And number two, it is not a reasonable expectation on your part to expect them to acquiesce to your wishes, because they have no incentive to do so. If I have 100 women coming after me, I have no incentive whatsoever to be with just one woman. For what? If I can choose all the women. I don't have to. Why is it expected of me to choose one female when there are hundreds of women who are after me?
Mm-hmm.
So it's completely unreasonable for you to expect fidelity out of those guys in those pocket universes. But you don't want to get with the guys who exist outside of those pocket universes, because why? What's the mentality behind that? And that's kind of what I wish Kevin Samuels would have pressed a little harder on, to sort of get to the genesis of that mentality. What is the behavior that says to you, it has to be a rapper, an entertainer, an athlete? What is that? You know what I'm saying? And he touched on it a little bit. He kind of grazed over it. And like I said, to be fair, Brittany Renner didn't disagree with anything that he was saying when he did bring these things up. But she also didn't say, yeah, you're right, maybe I should kind of maybe start dating the investment banker or the IT guy. I get the impression that at the end of that interview, she's still going to continue to do what she's been doing, which is capitulate to her own insanity. I'm going to continue to date these guys in these pocket universes and hope that I can just get it all. And one day these guys are going to miraculously wake up and decide, oh, even though I have all the options in the world, I'll just go ahead and just be with just you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the crux of the whole thing, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, absolutely, I agree with every point. And this interview to me encapsulates everything that's going on right now in society with both male and females. Kevin Samuels the entire time was just hitting her with logic. And Brittany Renner was listening to the logic, but then, I feel. And the reality of the situation is, and this is what's very important, what both men and women need to really start to understand, is that masculine energy, we both say that they're different. Masculine energy and feminine energy are different. We just say that, but I think it's just a colloquial thing. And people don't really, and so cliche-ish, I mean, that people don't really understand the ramifications of the fact that men are completely different entities than women.
Yeah.
And so when Kevin Samuels is hitting it with logic, boom, 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 again, I feel. In relationships, all day long, man, you'll try to defend yourself with logic, blah, 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 blah. And then she'll hit you with feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Try to ask you how you feel about something or what have you, And at the same time, as a man, we'll still try to drill a point home, talk into her blue in her face, and she doesn't hear any of it. The reason why they're seeking those guys, that's at that such rare percentage, is because they want to live that lifestyle. Period. They just want to play. Women just want to play. That's not a bad thing. They just want to play. And so Brittany Renner was explaining everything from the modern woman to, the reason why I feel like I got to get a bag is just so a man won't be able to control me, And so same thing right now. Every woman, that's why I felt like that was such a spot on interview. I felt like it was best that he didn't get at her so much. I hear what you're saying. At certain points, I feel like he should have, got a little deeper in things. But I'm glad that he didn't drill her completely, because allowing her to dig that ditch, if you will, for that type of logic that they use, they all share it mostly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she just has the ability physically to pull it off.
Yeah.
And so what men need to realize is that's how women function. All of them. And, they just go off feelings. That's why their whole thing is, I don't feel the same anymore. You don't make me feel the same anymore. What do you mean I don't make you feel the same anymore? I do everything I always did. I'm doing more than I used to do.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't make me feel, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, but to speak to your point, bro, I feel as though you're nailing it right on the head, bro. But I feel as though they're only seeking those percentage of men, because those dudes They have lower standards, and they have a lifestyle of playing.
Mm-hmm.
So why not seek those guys?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's just it's I'm just always intrigued by this because, you know, it can't be so like when you start to kind of assess the situation from a process of elimination standpoint,
Mhm.
you know, it can't be about money and resources exclusively. Because if it was about money and resources exclusively, then eligible men in other industries would be more at the forefront than they currently are when it comes to how these women perceive men in general. So it's not, but you'll hear them talking about how they want a guy who makes this and that and does this and can do this or that. Okay, well if that were the case, then you have a good 20% more population wise of men who can afford you that lifestyle, but just don't live within those pocket universes of entertainment and athletics.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just something about the way that it's just something about being in that sphere that sort of draws women in. And, you know, me, you, and our buddies, our friend group, we used to talk all the time in the past about how, you know, women logically, and I mean, when I use the word logically, I'm using it from a man's perspective of what we would define as logic.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, women logically will talk about what it is that they want and it'll make sense. But at the end of the day, they are mostly influenced by what excite their emotions. And you brought up the emotions before. And so I think like these guys who are in these particular arenas, music and entertainment specifically, because those are more expressive mediums, I think that these guys tend to tap into something that excite women's emotions more so than anything else. And they're ruled by that to the point where it sort of influences their decision making and their behavior. And all logic goes out the window at that point because they're ruled by what excites their emotions. So, you know, even you're smart, right? Everybody's telling me women are smart. That's what I hear. I hear women are smart. I even hear a lot of people say women are smarter than men. You have a lot of these caping ass dudes out here who say that too. And so you tell me this, and I'm being told women are so smart. But if you're so smart, why are you choosing to, despite your logic, get with guys who are going to not give you what it is that you want? And the only thing that I can think of to answer that question is logic plays no factor whatsoever in your decision to pursue these guys. It's all about the fact that your emotions are being excited to a point of behavior, to a point of a particular type of behavior. And I there's this one female friend that I have, and you know, we used to have conversations about this all the time because she'd be struggling. And you know, I used to tell her, like, you know what your problem is, you know, what your brain tells you makes sense and what your vagina responds to are two contradicting notions. And you know, to her credit, once again, she agreed with me. She said, you're not wrong, but I don't know how to control that. She doesn't know how to not allow what excites her emotions, which is what is between her legs, responds to. She doesn't know how to not allow that to overpower what her conventional logic would be otherwise. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, that's their fatal flaw. And so they can talk about how evolved and smart they are, but until they learn how to deal or better manage or mitigate that particular situation, they're going to continue to be ruled by what excites their emotions. And then they'll just keep choosing the very thing that results in the self-destructiveness of their dating and relationship life. You know, and you know, it is what it is. But
well, that's why they choose the bad boy. He's exciting.
Well, I mean, but this even goes beyond that because, like, I know a lot of guys who are in different industries who are assholes. Mm-hmm. There's this idiosyncratic feeling that they get when it comes to the guys who exist in these pocket universes. And, you know, it doesn't help that they're constantly reinforced with these images when they open up their Instagrams or their TikToks and they're seeing these things. And, you know, it's like or better yet, if they happen to know somebody personally who, like let's say that, let's say that like some woman has a female friend who is, and these days it could be anything. She can have a friend who is an OnlyFans chick, a stripper, a bartender. You know what I'm saying? One of these women who are in these types of industries, maybe she's a model of some sort. Maybe she herself is in entertainment. And so she's parading, palling around with dudes like this, seeing these dudes take her on, global jet setting trips. She's looking at that and she's saying, I want that. I deserve that. I should have that too. Okay, well, I'm going to get with guys who can get that for me. And if all she's seeing is guys in these pocket universes who are affording people whom she knows with these types of lifestyles, then she knows no better. And she can't say, well, I can still get that for myself without seeking the very men who are going to give me the antithesis of what I look for in terms of what would be a functional, stable situation.
Yeah, and that's their brainwashing.
Yeah.
That's their level of their microwaving society. They don't want to do the sacrifice anymore of trying to build a house and build a marriage and try to build with a man so they can get to that point to travel. They just want to go and travel.
Yeah.
They just want to let's get straight to the traveling.
Yeah.
Let's just straight to the jet set.
And that's correct. And the thing
is,
right. And so this is what Kevin Samuels often says. You have to go into it with an intended outcome, and your outcome can't be unreasonable. So if you want to jump straight to the front of the line and start traveling all over the world right away, you cannot, in good faith, get angry when you realize that this guy's been cheating on you. So you think you're the only girl he's taking around the world? You think that you're a unicorn and he sees something in you that he doesn't see in every other above average looking female? You're just another girl that he's doing it with, but you're one in a long line of others. So either accept that you're going to be on his rotation, or do it the way it should be done, the way that would ensure you functionality. But stop complaining about dudes cheat. Like what drives me crazy is these chicks do this stuff. They get with these guys and then they complain about cheating. What is it that you're expecting? What is it that you're expecting? You're not in a relationship with a guy who works on Silicon Valley, on Wall Street, and who's in banking, a stockbroker, a VP at a hospital, director of marketing or vice president of corporate relations at some Fortune 500 company. You're not getting with these men who operate by a more standard set of rules, by the way. You're getting with the men who are the least likely to operate by the rules that you want men to operate by. So you need to know what you're getting yourself into. And for you to continue to do this, but complain about the outcome that you get, says to me that you either are full of shit and you're lying and you don't really want stable relationships and functioning relationships, or you're literally insane. It's one or the other. You're literally insane and you do really want that, but you just don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know how to go about doing it because your decision making lends itself to the opposite of that.
No, I mean, absolutely factual, bro. I agree with 100%. And again, man, I just look at it as their nature, their overall nature. As men, we have to see it for what it really is. And I think we're starting to get there. And, at least with some of the current information that's starting to get out there on the internet, where there's some awareness being spread amongst men about the nature of women. It's not a bad thing. We just have to know how they operate naturally. Yeah. And then we won't be so confused anymore when they do certain things. Yeah. And that's why this interview to me was so enlightening from the perspective of her embodying and honestly kind of low-key encapsulating what modern women are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, man. My thing is, yeah, that's basically it. Otherwise, like I said, if I'm gonna be fair, I've never been a guy because I understand the situation for what it is, right? So like you said, men are starting to wake up to it. I've been hip to this for years, a long time. So I've never been a person who calls women name. I don't call women out their name. I don't criticize them for being on OnlyFans. I don't criticize them for being IG models. I don't criticize them for being a Brittany Renner. You know, you'll never hear me say you are this because of what you do. That's not my shtick. My thing has always been, okay, as men, if you know what you want, don't make the decision to get with these women, because at that point you're exposing yourself to a weakness of basically being a slave to vagina. And like your better judgment just goes completely out the window, because you're allowing these women to take advantage of an inherent weakness in your makeup, because you can't get out of your own way and pick attractive women who exist in, you know, universes that are outside of those lanes, right? You don't have to get with an OnlyFans girl or a stripper or a bartender or a model or an IG. You don't have to get with women like that in those worlds. You can get with above average, very attractive women who exist in the worlds of business or hospitality or education or whatever. So that's our fatal flaw. And so but because men dictate the flow of relationships to a large extent, I've never sort of cast aspersions on the character of women just because they get into these industries like OnlyFans and, you know, IG model and all of that. Like, if that's their nature, I understand that. It now becomes incumbent upon me to make the necessary decision to not get myself involved with those women if I foresee myself going down a road that I don't think would be favorable towards me as a man. So, you know, I've never been the guy who says, hey, Brittany Renner is this, that, or the third. It is what it is. But what I have always said is she's in a lot of ways a walking contradiction. That's kind of been my only critique of her, because going all the way back, I first learned about her in 2015, and going way back in 2015 when she was always on Twitter running her mouth. She would be the first person to talk about how, despite who she is and what she's doing and what she's famous for, that she'd get with a guy who's a general manager of this company, or who does 9 to 5 over here, or who's inconspicuous over there. She's always said that she's completely open to that possibility, yet every single guy that she's ever been associated with has been an entertainer or a rapper or an athlete. So that's the only thing that I've ever criticized her about. I kind of felt like she was always being disingenuous in that regard. If you're going to be somebody who is only about the rappers and the athletes and the entertainers, then just stay that. Stand on who you are. Don't be inconsistent. Don't be contradictory. But, you know, the rest of her persona is what it is. And so, you know, I just kind of I've been let that go, because, as you stated, that's just the nature of them and what they do and who they are. It's incumbent upon you as a man to not allow yourself to be victimized by the dynamic.
Yeah, and honestly, so just like how there's a overwhelming majority of men who aren't really in their frame and don't intend on being in their frame and just doing madness.
Right.
There's a large majority of men doing that. There's a smaller percentage of men who are actually at least trying to get there. There's a smaller percentage of men who actually got there.
Right.
So the same thing when it comes to women. There's a large pool. We're not saying all women. There's a large pool of women who are not trying to be in their feminine frame at all.
But they say they are, though. That's the thing about it.
I know, but that's part of the same. That's the same mind control on both sides.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so there are women who recognize the mind control and call it out and say, hey, no, don't fall for this stuff out here.
Yeah.
That's not how you get a man. That's not how you keep a man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what's going on right now, honestly, is a reflection on both sides. And it's a large percentage of women who don't get it, who don't intend to get it. Yeah. It's all this city girl stuff. It's all this after a bag stuff. This stuff is, it's taking its effect. Yeah. It's taking its effect. Yeah. And Samuels has said this. He said, what are we going to look like in 50 years?
Right.
I had asked that like a few sessions ago. What are we going to look like as people?
Yeah.
50 years from now.
Yeah.
What are we going to look like as a country? Because this is going on in the Black community. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening across all sections now.
Yeah. It's a cultural thing more so than race. It might fall along racial lines, but it's a cultural thing.
It's an American thing. It's an American thing.
It's a westernized thing.
It's a westernized thing.
Yeah.
And soon as, hey, first generation people, hey, all praise to you. I pray for your children. because if they're going to grow up in this madness,
Yeah.
you gotta keep some of your culture. I say that if you're coming to America, keep some of your culture,
Yeah.
because this stuff here is not a culture. I don't know. This is commercialism.
It is.
Our culture
It
is
is.
commercialism.
Yeah.
It's consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
honestly, it's eating itself alive.
Yeah.
This is really not a culture. And the fruits of its labor is the marriage rate.
Mm-hmm.
The fruits of his labor is the divorce rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Fruits of his labor is the incarceration rate,
Yeah.
the illiteracy rate. That's the fruits of
Yeah.
this labor.
The undereducation rate.
The
Yeah.
undereducation rate.
Yeah.
Because what is being put out in mass is maladaptive.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot use it and apply it to your life.
Yeah.
If you use it and apply it to your life, it's a life of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why women right now, and she's a reflection of it, women right now embody
Yeah.
embody this level of entitlement
They
for
can't get
no
out their own
reason.
way. Yeah.
For no reason. I
Yeah.
get entitlement because I have vagina. I'm special because I have vagina. And it's like, yes, you are. But at the same time, no, you're not.
Exactly.
Is that so harmful? What is so hard to understand about that? You are special. Yes, you are. Because you're special, I have to stop everything and make my world revolve around yours? What sense does that make? Every compromise makes sense only when it's coming from your side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the madness that men have to find themselves, have to realize that we can no longer play their word games.
Yeah.
They're just word games. Women always judge your actions. Don't play the word games.
Yeah.
It's just like how we talked about before, not paying attention to those Instagram posts.
Yeah.
Man, take a personal stance.
Yeah. You're preaching to the choir, bro. I've been. Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't want McDonald's, and you want to take your personal stance, you think it's the devil, then don't buy it.
Buy it.
What are you in line for? The fries are crispy, man. Well, then don't sit here and complain because you're funding the operation.
Yes. Yeah.
So as tempting as it is, don't hit the like button.
Don't hit it. Don't hit it.
Just keep scrolling, bro.
Don't send the DM.
Don't send the DM.
Like, and you talk to me. Don't follow them. My thing is do not provide the social currency of a follow. Don't follow.
Take a stance.
Yeah.
Take a stance.
Take a stand.
I'm not saying don't scroll by it. Scroll, bro. You don't have to leave no metrics.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Don't make them an influencer.
No.
Because you like they capitulate to their insanity, you capitulate to yours. Because you create an environment that allows this dynamic to persist, and then you complain about the fact that you can't find the type of woman that you're looking for. Well, you need to develop some morals, some ethics, and some principles. Live by those so that you can be an active participant in the solution instead of fueling the problem.
And also, absolutely, and also using that logic that you're wasting on explaining stuff to her. Yeah. Because you're literally doing your own verbal masturbation.
You're speaking into a void. Yeah.
You're speaking into a void.
Yeah.
You might as well use that energy to speak logic to yourself, to not respond to her madness.
Yeah.
By you not responding to her madness, you have passed her shit test. You passed her shit test. All women do in mass, not all of them now, but the overwhelming majority of them.
Yeah.
Not understanding. I have to qualify that.
You're speaking the middle of the bell curve, bro. Like you don't. We're speaking the middle of the bell curve. Everything always comes back to the mean.
My bad. We're at the conscious approach. My bad. We're at the conscious approach. I don't have to explain that to the audience. I'm sorry. No, that's fair. Because I be hearing it in my head. And I have to qualify things.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Damn, I really forgot where I was going with that. I really forgot. But my whole point is men preserving that masculinity, man. Preserving yourself. Because when you're in there standing firm, you know what a man is? A man is, he's a pole. You know, phallic symbols. They're poles. When the wind is blowing, it's staying firm. No, I'm serious. And what a woman loves, you know, honestly, it's symbolic of her erect penis. It's just firm.
Staying firm.
And when a woman's coming with the wind, and you're just standing firm, I'm not buying it. You're not. She
respects that. Yeah.
She respects that.
Yeah.
You know what she doesn't respect? A guy who gets emotional with her.
Yeah.
Because subconsciously, she knows that emotions are centered for women. She's thinking subconsciously, you should be using your logic to not be listening to my arguments. My brother used to do this thing, bro. He used to do this thing to troll us before trolling was trolling. He would make up stuff. Like, we'll be talking about something that makes sense and we'll have a natural disagreement. And then he would make something up, like kind of like gaslight, like make something up that's completely illogical. And we would be defending that.
Yeah.
And he's looking, and he'll be like after like 2 or 3 minutes, he'll just be laughing like, man, you really thought I believed that? Basically, I guess just a teacher's lesson then, that if it doesn't make sense to you, don't argue the points. And as men, we get in our pride mode when women talk because it sounds so logical. Like how you said, what they say makes so much sense, but subconsciously they want something completely different.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, I'm going to give them now, because I had to learn these things. Now I give them what they subconsciously want all the time.
The worst thing that you can possibly do as a man is subdue your masculinity. Like, you never, ever want to listen to this modern ongoing rhetoric that is actively attempting to completely deconstruct masculinity in all of its various forms. I was having a conversation, and we'll go ahead and, because it's interesting that you brought this angle up before we move on to the next topic.
Mm-hmm.
I got into a conversation with somebody not too long ago, a female, a woman, talking about this whole, you know, gender specific type thing, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I asked her a straight up question. I said, you know, you'll kind of, if you're on social media or you hear some of these things kind of getting echoed throughout these various echo chambers on the internet, people even writing articles about it, it's in the media sometimes, you'll hear about the notion of toxic masculinity. So, you know, anytime somebody brings up somebody like Harvey Weinstein or Kevin Spacey, guys like that, right? They want to talk about toxic masculinity. Donald Trump, oh, that's toxic masculinity. So I asked her, I said, okay, well, going along with this notion, if I'm willing to acknowledge that there is actually a such thing as toxic masculinity, can I then suggest that there is a such thing as toxic femininity?
Uh-oh, go ahead.
And now she had no. Now, yeah, of course, because she's a woman, she only perceives the world through the eyes of a woman, and she doesn't think about it in totality. She didn't have an answer to my question.
Of course, she doesn't.
And so my thing is, if there's a such thing as toxic masculinity, then I therefore posit that there's a such thing as toxic femininity. Absolutely. There have to be two sides to the same coin.
Absolutely.
We can't be talking about how all men are the only ones capable of toxicity, is what you're telling me, right? So if men are toxically masculine, and again, I don't believe that there is a such thing as toxic masculinity. It doesn't exist. But I was kind of using her logic against her to show her how dumb it is. So I was saying, okay, well, if there is a such thing as toxic masculinity, then I'm going to tell you that women who believe that they're inherently entitled to certain things just based off of the sake of their existence is toxically feminine. Women who think that they deserve things that they don't otherwise deserve because they didn't work or earn it, just because they're women, that's toxically feminine. If you think that you're always supposed to get to the front of the line at the club just because you're a woman, that is a toxically feminine trait. If you think that I'm supposed to put up with your bullshit because your vagina is a prize that I have to fight in the snake pit in order to earn, that is toxically feminine. So if what I'm doing is toxically masculine, then what you're doing is toxically feminine.
Thank you.
So if you don't want to accept that there is a such thing as toxic femininity, then let's just call a spade a spade. Toxic masculinity, therefore, also doesn't exist. Don't conflate masculine behavior with just being.
Right.
And my thing was, what Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, these guys like that, Donald Trump, I'll hit her in the pussy like Donald Trump be saying.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is just creep behavior. That is depraved behavior.
Yeah.
Stop grouping that in with masculinity.
Right.
Because all men don't do that.
Right.
But see, what women like to do is they take their bad experiences with them, and they in turn put all men into a box. They internalize that emotion, and they therefore spit it out as all y'all do this and it's toxic.
Well, honestly,
and the thing is, like, yeah. And so my thing with her was, what you're doing is you're conflating depraved bad behavior with masculinity, as if to suggest that it is inherently masculine to be these bad things. No, that's not it. And if that's not it, and we can agree on that, then I'll let you go, and I'm not going to press you on there being a such thing as toxic femininity. But if you're going to insist that me being a masculine man is toxic, then I am going to insist that you being a woman and all these various things that you insist that you're entitled to, that you deserve, things that you do, some of your behaviors that you capitulate to, is being toxically feminine. Period.
No, and but this is honestly because I was in a group while I was in college. I was in a group, and they taught us toxic masculinity, and I said, no, they did. And at the time, listen,
were there men in this group?
Yes, it was a men organized group.
See, that's the problem.
I don't want to throw their name. I don't want to throw their name out there. But they were preaching that.
Yeah.
And so they were preaching that, and they were preaching it from the angle. Hang on, because this is all interesting. This is always interesting. They were preaching from the angle that you can be masculine and compassionate. You can be masculine and
effeminate. Emotional.
Basically, that was the logic.
Yeah.
So they were calling roughhousing, they were calling that toxic. But honestly, that's what makes men men. That's what makes women attracted to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we do we're men.
Yeah.
So they said, no, just be the effeminate part. Just be compassionate. Just be comparing. Don't be the protector. Because basically they were just saying, oh, it's cool to be.
You don't have to hit the roles. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just be role-less.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what they were preaching in there. And so that's a leftist ideology.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a feminist ideology.
Yeah.
And these things are being taught in institutions. You remember, bro, when we was growing up?
Not my son. That's all I gotta say. Not my son. And I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Not my son.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. No, because hey.
Yeah.
School is for conditioning.
Yeah.
So my children are going to get their own conditioning at home if I decide to, do any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Especially, but if they decide to go to college, whatever. Yeah. But they're still, by then they will already have their mind.
Yeah.
But still, nevertheless, man, it's an interesting topic, bro. what I'm saying? We could expound more, but we do got to roll on to.
Okay, we'll go ahead and roll on. I mean, it went down,
no, because it needed to.
But I mean, that is just, and it is inherent of the current mentality, and it's just people need to take inventory of the decisions that they're making. And women are in that group. Brittany Renner's in that group. Like I said, I'll give Brittany Renner credit. Yeah. I'll give Brittany Renner credit for not completely being dismissive of that particular angle that Kevin Samuels introduced into the conversation. But if you note, she also didn't say, you're right, maybe I need to change it up. So, all right. And, next topic is this, complete shit show. And this ironically fuels into the previous topic that we discussed. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this clip right here of him going off, and then I guess we'll play the next clip of her brother responding. And this is just, I think this is embarrassing. But these days, what is embarrassing is, I guess, just typical behavior. So I'll go ahead and hit the play button.
Can you stop touching me? Can you stop touching me?
With our child.
I don't want you to stay. I've been begging you to
I know
leave.
you tried to kick me out.
This one of them real movies, man. Y'all look, tune in and see what we dealing with. Like, shouted really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Real life. I'm not going.
Come get this girl. In your bathrooms.
Hey, look, bro.
Can you make it full screen?
Part of my pregnancy, you don't need to tell nobody nothing. The fuck?
See, she don't want me to put out her real business, what her and her family got going on. That's the real issue.
That's not nothing to do with us.
This girl got a real, a real Matilda story type shit going on, Did I try to save my child from?
Save your child.
She got to save her face. Her family got to save her face. My family's not in the industry. Me being in the industry, that take care of my family. Her parents know she's my side bitch. Everybody knows she's a side bitch. Take whatever come with it, full responsibility. But shout it is cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. Shout it is cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. And shout is not my girl. Ain't never been my girl. Is my side bitch.
It's your what?
My side bitch. Shout it is a certified side bitch. Not
fucking embarrassing me like that.
Shawty is a certified side bitch. Just trying to act like she knows. No, let's take it down. Her parents know she's my side bitch. Everybody knows she's a side bitch. She don't want y'all to know she's a side bitch. She got to save her face. She got to crash all the way out. Call them folks. Save me. Help. Responsibility.
All right, so there's that. And we'll go ahead and hold comments until we play this next one. But then, so DaBaby hip hop star, dysfunctional relationship with an IG model type. It's the prototypical setup. It's the prototypical setup. She's an IG model / influencer. She is, she likes to get with rappers and athletes and entertainers. So she gets with this guy who makes songs about being with all the women in the world, and now he's cheating on you, and you're mad because he's cheating. It's typical BS, right? It's the typical BS. They have a kid together now, but apparently she was never his main chick. She was always his side chick. So that those are the cliff notes. And so her brother.
So this is what you want to do. This what you want to do.
Her brother responded to this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll play the response from her brother, and then we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it.
This shit crazy, bro.
All right, so this is what her brother had to say in response.
So this is what you want to do. This is where you want to take it. This crazy. This thing called the cops on my sis. This gonna disrespect my sister online for the world to see. Disrespect my family. You know what I'm saying? This don't even got nothing to do with my sister no more, bro. This got to do with me and you. You feel me? Because you missed the tough guy over here beating up. knocking little guys out here and there. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna do that to me, first off. So this is what we're gonna do, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a hospital right now. I got in a car accident. I got neck. I still beat you my neck like this, bro. On God. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we're gonna do. When you come to the West Coast, bro, which I know you be out here, we're gonna catch this one-on-one fade, bro. You know what I'm saying? One-on-one fade to see what happens between me and you. I want to see how much of a gangster you are, how much of a real man you are. You know what I'm saying? We could do that. We could catch this.
And that's that. So yeah, that's Dani Leigh's brother, and he's threatening physical violence and all of that good stuff, because that's the logical next step. And this is what we have. Another one of these situations that I believe, in my opinion, is embarrassing towards, if you really want to take it there and get deep enough with it, I think that it's a bit embarrassing with respect to, younger Black generations, even though I don't think she's like all the way Black, but I don't follow this stuff all that intimately, so I could be wrong about that. Nevertheless, this is the typical sort of dysfunctional type stuff that you see nowadays that seems to be more and more prevalent. I don't think that it's much of an understatement to suggest that it is more prevalent. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what you do about it. But it's trending. It's all over the place. Everybody's talking about it. People are focused on who's right and who's wrong. She put out a post to clarify that she didn't actively try to stay in the house despite him telling her to leave, that she literally had to be there to try and get some of her kids' stuff because she's in a city she's not familiar with, doesn't have any family and friends there. So she was attempting to fly back to where she is familiar. But before she could do that, she had to go to his place to get some of her belongings and some of the baby's belongings. And then he started acting crazy and went on IG Live at that point. And that's when you saw what she saw. So she wanted to clear the air that she wasn't trying to squat despite his insistence that she leave. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? What do you even make of this? I just find it unfortunate, disturbing. You can fill it in with whatever adjective that you want. That this seems to be becoming more and more of what you would, I guess, classify as normal, typical, normal behavior, normal. I don't know.
I would say that, unfortunately, yes. From what we're dealing with the average woman who is, living off of fictitious paradigm, and it's not rooted in reality, and so therefore, they become these people who are like her, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure she can rationalize it and try to make it sound like it made some sense. That could have been the scenario, but you could have also been blowing up the spot right before you left, which is probably why he said, "You know what? I'm going to go live."
Yeah.
That's fair enough. You were probably already leaving. He probably already kicked you out. Now you're getting the last bit of stuff. Okay. So she can rationalize it and make it make sense in her world. But where I'm getting at is two sides to every story. She told her side.
Sure.
And I think he went live because she was going up there blowing up the spot, being irrational, blowing up the spot. He said, "You know what? See what I have to deal with."
Yeah.
And so
she probably toned it down once she realized that that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And it's a cautionary tale, especially for his followers. And this is the part about it that I did appreciate. It is crazy, but he's got a ton of people who mess with him. All right. I don't listen to his music. I'm aware of his story. I'm aware of who he is. I follow hip hop, so I know who he is. I've heard of his music. I know some of the songs. I don't listen to his music.
Yeah.
But I understand that he's an influencer and that he's carved out quite a lane for himself, and he's got a lot of DaBaby babies.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of people following him, and his style and his flow and his cadence and all that.
Yeah.
So whenever anybody does that, I give in hip hop, I give them credit. You know, if they've got followers like that. And so he's done his thing in hip hop. I cannot lie. And so he's got a ton of people who mess with him. And so for his people who see this, his overall message at the end was like, hey man, I'm still going to do what I have to do to provide for my kids. But you see what I have to deal with. Despite that, I know what I did. I made the bed. I'm going to lay in it. This is my situation. I have to deal with it. But that's not going to stop me from taking care of my kids. Overall, that was his message. And so for the people that were watching that, I feel as though who are on the fringe, as we talked about last week, who are living on that fringe, that was a good enough message. And my thing to tie in from our last conversation is that men need to just take notes on this. That when this stuff is happening out here abroad,
seriously, yes.
Yeah, take note on this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them will behave like her. When she realizes you don't want to be with her, whatever that means, because you will be with her so long as you can keep doing your other stuff. No. You got to just be with me. I ain't sharing you with nobody. And as we talked about last conversation, are you being realistic? Do you know who I am? Do you know how many people know who I am? I'm just going to be with you? That doesn't make sense.
Doesn't.
And if you are a woman, being a woman, know how women operate, how could I just be with you? Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
I can't reserve myself for that. So fellas, if you're out there chasing a bag, I never really struggle, honestly. I never really struggle attracting women. It's just, I just did that. Now, what was I always aware of the signals and all that stuff? Hey man, as you get older, you know,
you figure stuff out. Yeah.
You figure things out. Yeah. But I never had a problem attracting women. You know what I'm saying? And so, but when attracting the women, it's just all from your vibe. It's all from your vibe. And so my thing is now, man, as we've been talking about, I'm just from the last two conversations, is because I didn't know the things that I was doing was so inframed for being masculine. I was just doing those things, and it tends to be a lot more inframed than what other people got going on. And on top of that, I'm chill as hell. You know what I'm saying? And so when I'm just doing those things, but now that I really understand, because I've grown, man, I've learned these things, and now it's become more refined. And it's like, you know what? I now know what it means to be in frame as a man and exhibiting that as all time. It's basically just being yourself.
Yeah.
And uncompromising for nothing, not compromising for nothing.
Yep.
And standing on your own personal morals. That's how you're being on your square. You know what I'm saying? And so as men just doing that, and so hearing what he said, because what he said at the end, hey, I made this bed, I'm gonna lay in it. But hey, you know, it's not gonna stop me from taking that's a solid message. That's in frame. So I appreciate that he's not running away from that, because you know what he did with messing with the booty models.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because laying up with him, hey, you might have a kid with her.
Yep.
You know? And you know she gonna parlay it. You know, love hip hop, here we come. It doesn't even have to be with him.
No.
It can be with some other guy. Yeah, it can be with some other guy, but she's DaBaby's baby mama.
That precedent has already been established. That's already happened. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's career moves for them. I don't know what the name of some rapper was, but he basically was like, man, I'm on their game now. I'm making them sign contracts. They trying to get on with me just so I can be in post, just so they can be in my post so I can tag them. You know what I'm saying? Or I can be in their post, they can tag me in it. They're using me for financial gain. So he started making them sign contracts. I don't know what the name of this guy was. But these women looking at it as a come up. Brittany Renner, she was talking about it as a come up. She was looking for come ups. She was like, I'm tired of living the lifestyle of just looking for a come up. Girl, you already got your come up. Now you're tired of living a lifestyle? Give me a break. And so that's why they want to just cut straight to the chase. Microwave. Boom. I want to go straight to the lifestyle. Dudes want to go straight to the league. Girls want to go straight from high school to Dubai.
Yeah, but at least if you're a guy and you want to go straight to the league, you're gonna have to put that work in. You just ain't gonna go to the league just because you're a man. It don't work that way.
Because you got to afford it.
Yeah, I can have all the hoop dreams in the world, but if I'm not 6'5", 6'6", and I'm not working at my game, I'm not going straight to the league. So I'm still earning I'm still earning based off of what work I put in.
They all got this. What about me? Look at her. What's so different about her? I'm this. I'm that. Yeah, you are.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, it is born from looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, I can approximate her looks. Therefore, I should be able to approximate what she's been able to attract in lifestyle. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happens. Mm-hmm. And they take cues from the type of men who are affording them this lifestyle, and that's when they start making themselves exclusively available to those guys. Like, I hear everything you're saying. I think when it comes to this particular situation, it's very easy for men of a stable, sound mind and body to look at it and say, I know what types of situations to avoid. The thing is, man, the problem that I have with this is this woman, Dani Leigh, two things are going to happen. One, once the dust settles and she's publicly single again, she's going to go on plenty of internet tirades talking about how men are A, B, and C. She's going to talk about how men ain't this or that, how dating and being with men or this ain't this or that. She's going to do all of that. And that rhetoric is going to have a trickle-down effect throughout the rest of society. Women are going to listen to that and they're going to say, yeah, girl, you're right. These dudes ain't shit. But what Dani Leigh won't say is, I've lived my life exclusively trying to date nothing but rappers. She won't say that. She'll just categorically talk about how men suck. But she's not going to say, for the entire prime of my physical life and my childbearing years, I spent that entire time dating nothing but rappers. She won't say that part. She'll omit that. And so the danger inherent in women like this, and Brittany Renner has kind of fallen into that category as well, is when they do these things and make these decisions to be with these guys irrationally, and they get the outcome that ends up being nothing more than a self-fulfilling prophecy. What they end up doing is they end up grouping all men into the same box, and you end up just basically casting aspersions on the entire male population based off of your experiences dealing with a very small subset of men. She's gonna do it. There's countless IG models and all the rest of these chicks that have done this, and so that part of it I don't like, because these women are so impressionable and they are so willing to listen to these messages and sort of internalize them that they'll just start believing and sort of repeating the pattern of behavior over and over again. And the second thing that's going to happen after that is all this chick is going to do is end up getting into another relationship with another rapper. That's all that's going to happen. And so we're going to go through this again when it happens again. That's all she's going to do is just get with another rapper. Probably have another kid with another rapper. And so, my thing is, like, stop paying attention to this shit. Stop paying attention to these people. They are steering you clearly in a horrible direction. If you're, and once again, I keep sounding like a broken record, but I can't help myself.
No, that's what it is.
Like, it's a seminal point. If what you truly care about is seeking functional relationships that work, you need to go in it with the right intentions and understand what you're getting yourself into. Don't be disingenuous and say that you want one thing, but have your actions and behaviors completely dictate something entirely different. That's what she did. That's what Brittany Renner did. And that's what they're going to keep doing. And so the thing is, like, we just need to not me as a guy, I don't give a damn. But a lot of these women out here who look at this stuff and they say, this is the kind of lifestyle that I want to live. you need to understand what you're getting yourself into, and you need to know what to expect. Like, period. You know what I'm like? The angles about responsibility towards your family and your kids, that's great. That's a message that, in my opinion, is easily digested. But, you know, what she's going to end up doing, I firmly believe, I'm calling it, I'm predicting it now. What a lot of these chicks end up doing when they get into these situations, they get this outcome, and then they go on a tirade, just chastising and castigating men as a whole. That is damaging, because you're not even dealing with all men. You're dealing with all the men who are going to get you the exact thing that you're complaining about. So, I don't know what else to say other than, you need to learn how to stop being insane. Stop capitulating to your own insanity. But this whole thing was just an entertaining mess. I'll leave it at that. It's an entertaining mess.
And as a man, and I say this as a man, and this is what I've learned. If you are not around a woman who qualifies herself, not just, oh, I'm not like any other woman, not that, who qualifies herself in a sense where she's consciously aware that since she's a woman, she can be certain kinds of ways. And so she doesn't necessarily follow those types of ways consciously. She consciously makes a decision. She catches herself and goes, oh, it's natural for me to what can I think of? I can't really think of that right now. Something that's just, she has to basically go, look, hey, look, I get that I'm a woman. Fair. So I'm a little irrational when it comes to this. I'm a little irrational when it comes to that. All right. But overall, I stand for this, this, and this, and that. Who comes to you logically, because just because she's a woman doesn't mean she can't be logical.
Yeah.
And so if she has to qualify herself and really step away from this modern type of thinking that women are in, and if she's in that pool and she's in that average and she's in that, large pool of people, treat her. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Treat her like the misunderstood person, because she's always misunderstood. She's the victim. The world is doing her wrong. No. They did me wrong. Yeah, that's right. Everybody did you wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And with that kind of logic, you're dealing with a large group of women. You have to go, hey, treat them the same, the blanket same type of way. Don't buy any of the stuff. You can't buy it. It sounds good. It's all cap.
Yeah.
That Brittany Renner interview was all cap.
You mean on her part?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was asking questions that required logical responses. When they're living in that delusional universe, there is no logical response to those things. So that's why she always has to deflect and go, I feel, try to change the topic completely. You want me to respond with logic to you think the stuff that I'm saying is logic? It's not. They know it doesn't make sense.
No, and that's where you and I disagree. I think in their minds it does make sense. I truly do.
Oh no. Fair enough. No, I'll take that back.
Yeah.
They do. No, they genuinely believe that, and that's why they're in a pool of women who are delusional, because they genuinely believe the illusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so unless there's a woman who, like I said, qualifies herself, you still, even that woman, you still have to treat her. Hey.
Yeah.
She's still a woman.
Yeah, you still got to take that one step at a time.
You still have to. There you go.
Yeah.
But I would just say, honestly, all of these tales, bro, these tales here, I mean, the Brittany Renner thing, bro, that interview, bro, the way her responses to those things are what they all say right now. They all think that way. And it's all completely illogical. It does none of it make sense. So I said, you know what? Fine. Boom. I get it. instead of fighting it, just put yourself in that 20% of guys that they were talking about, who, because Kevin Samuels was like only 20% of the guys out here really getting all the women.
Yeah, I think he gave the statistic as well. He was speaking specifically within the black population.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said something like 20. It was some low number. I want to say he said like 30-something% of the men are responsible for all of the childbirths within the black community.
Mm-hmm.
Some very small percentage, because I think he says like 58% of black men don't have any children, and actively seek relationships, but they're not procreating. So it's that other half, that small percentage, like 42% or something, are responsible for all of the childbirths within the black population, is what he said.
And so there's a certain, and not just because you're in a certain type of frame or whatever, you can be on that population, but positioning yourself to in that side of the fence, also on the side of being in that class or that tier that they basically all want. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, and I'm just say this, because and I know that it's illogical for them all to want that guy, but at the same time, as a man, every man should want to aspire to be more than that. What their thing is.
Yeah.
And so where we have to do as men, fair enough, what their thing is illogical. But hear this: once you do achieve that status and beyond, because honestly, that is what they're expecting. Honestly, should be a man's minimum requirements in life achievements. And so the only people that are going to get there are the people who actually have the fortitude and willpower to go do so. And if the men are as exceptional as they claim to be, and not just feel like they're like the women out here that think they're entitled just because they have a penis. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So you do have to go work for yours. And what they want for a man, honestly, should be your minimum requirement. Shoot for the stars, land on the moon, whatever the expression is, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so even if you don't become successful millionaire man in whatever field, you're still highly successful in your own right. Mm-hmm. And when you get there, you don't get one woman. You get whatever you want because they all want you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's whatever your lifestyle is. If you want that one woman, fine. Now you get the pick of the litter.
Right.
Now you get the pick. No. Nope, I want this one.
Yeah.
Yep. She's domestic enough. She's feminine enough. She's submissive enough. She's whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Because now you've casted a very broad net for yourself because you created a very lucrative, plot of land for yourself, real fertile.
Yeah.
For development.
Yeah.
And so as men, what we have to realize is that this is how women are. You know what I'm saying? It's right now getting boiled down to its refined, it's like a sugar, it's like caked on sugar that's been boiled down or something. These girls are real dense. What's happening right now, and they're just down to the bare minimum, to the point where it's becoming exclusively transactional. You know what I'm saying? To avoid those types of situations, I think honestly, as men, we do need to position ourselves in life so we can actually do go in our own personal way, however that is. We don't have to be, millionaire man, but being masculine in your own way, paving your own way in life to where you get the pick of the litter in your world and in your galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, you can make your selection and your pick because you're part of the elect.
Sure.
Of people who are aware of what's going on around here.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Yeah. My mantra has always been, the message that I've always kind of preached to the male side of things is, listen, complaining about it isn't going to do you any good because you're not going to change the world. It's going to continue to be this way. Right. So the only thing that you can do is focus on self-improvement so that you can put yourself into the category in which, I'm not going to use the expression high value because that has a very specific set of parameters, but you would put yourself amongst that class of men who is highly sought after. So it does you no good to complain. The best thing for you to do is to work to self-improve to get to the point where you are in that lane. So I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the crux of it is, you just got to be you got to be in there so that you can best position yourself to not be victimized by this dynamic. It's similar to how I feel about economics and like racism. You can fight the good fight and want to try to eradicate racism from the world, but I'm of the personal belief that racism is sort of a naturally occurring thing. And so the only thing that you can do is position yourself outside of the ecosystem that causes you to be victimized by it. So you just work diligently to remove yourself from that environment. Therefore, you won't be victimized by it, as opposed to sitting around trying to create this utopian society in which it doesn't exist. You'll never get there. You're never gonna find this utopian society where women don't practice hypergamy, where women aren't attracted to what they are attracted to. So all that you can do is position yourself to be in that grouping. So
Right.
the priority should never be about pursuing women, and it should always be about self-improvement. Because if you self-improve, that's just going to be it's going to be a natural ancillary benefit of your commitment to self-improvement.
Exactly.
And yeah, I've always said that the only issue is that there's just not enough men who understand this.
Right.
And so they spend 30, 40 years chasing women. They never focused on self-improvement. And now they're in this situation where they're finding themselves having to settle for women that they don't really want because they never committed themselves to self-improvement.
And as a man, self-improvement, part of the benefits package is women.
Sure, yeah.
That's part of the benefits package.
Yeah.
So you just do your job.
Yeah.
And the benefit package is just a benefit package.
Right.
So,
you don't have to be the guy. If you are a club guy, you don't have to be the guy who's thirsting after chicks in the club. If you work at it, you'll be the guy who gets into the club and you just stand there and they just come to you. Like that's kind of the way it's supposed to be. But
exactly. Moth to a flame, bro.
Right. It is and you don't self-improvement, don't get me wrong. The more the more you go up in socioeconomics class, physical attractiveness, the more it is going to be incumbent upon you as a man to understand these things, because you'll run into plenty of women who are as good as you want them to look, right? And they will not exist in those pocket universes where they only deal with entertainers and athletes and musicians and rappers. But they're also not going to settle for a guy who isn't committed to self-improvement. So the bare necessity is you still have to put yourself in that lane. The idea is that when you put yourself in that lane, if you want a dysfunctional chick like Dani Leigh, have at it. But you can also get women who look just as good as her, who aren't on all of that dysfunctional craziness.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of, and that's the thing that I've always found myself frustrated with when it comes to some of these guys. When it comes to these athletes and these entertainers, what's frustrated me is you've worked to put yourself into that elite class. There are so many women in your city who look just as good as these chicks who are on the internet all the time. Why don't you go after them? Or I'm pretty sure they're already after you. Just give them your time and attention instead of giving your time and attention to these influencer, IG model, OnlyFans chicks who are so dysfunctional in the head that all they're going to do is sort of envelop you in their toxic way of living. for real.
Oh, I could have said that, bro. You caught me off guard with that. You nailed that, bro. Hell yeah, I'm so busy over here trying to agree. Hell yeah, bro. You nailed that right on the head.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man. But these guys, man. There's a lot of women doing this right now. There's a lot of OnlyFans going on right now. Whatever the next wave is, because there's going to be a new one, bro.
Oh yeah.
And
This is here
honestly,
to
like
stay.
I don't know if whatever it is, I'm gonna get in on it early. As far as like investing or something, if I
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
because it's gonna blow up. It's gonna be more invasive, but women are gonna see how they're gonna get paid for it, and they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it
Yeah.
because if the
Yeah.
only thing they got to do is be at the house to do it.
Yeah.
Because right now, we're already getting there with these webcam things.
Oh no, we're there, bro. We're
Yeah.
there. We're
And,
there.
where these girls can be anonymous, they don't really have to show their face. You know, they just showing stuff
Yeah.
and doing stuff, and they getting paid to do it.
Yeah. I
And
know
so,
the guy Myron off the Fresh and Fit podcast, he often talks about how we might not realize it, but we're currently in the midst of a reproductive problem. And I have a theory that reproductive problem is in large part due to the fact that so many men are finding it more and more comfortable and easy to like forego seeking actual sexual activity in lieu of funding these chicks on Instagram. I'm not Instagram, but on these chicks on OnlyFans and stuff. And so the point why I bring up that is to say this thing is a big deal. It's getting worse. It's getting more pervasive. It's not reversing. It's not going back. It's only going to continue to become more and more pervasive. So, you know, and look at what OnlyFans tried to go mainstream and say we don't want to be known as a porn site. We want to get corporate funding so that we can be more of a normal. We want to be more like YouTube. And those women went ape shit to the point where OnlyFans had to reverse their decision. So this isn't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So you just need to be one of these guys who are responsible for 40% of the births and not be on the other end of that, the larger end of the guys who aren't reproducing, who aren't procreating, because this is only going to continue to fester.
And honestly, the virginity rate, I laughed at it at first.
Oh yeah, like, that's another thing too.
Yeah, I was like, I laughed at it at first because when I heard the age, you know, I was like, hey man, what?
Yeah.
What's going on right now?
Yeah.
What's happening? And it's an amalgamation of things. It's a lot of things that at play with that. But still, I agree with that sentiment that we're going to be reaching a reproductive problem. And with the advent of stuff like the metaverse now, my mind was blown when you saw that stuff, right? With Facebook and all that.
Yeah.
With these young kids who grew up playing Roblox and Minecraft, and now when they get older and of age, they can live in metaverses, but there's going to be sex metaverses.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Where people are virtually going to be doing weird stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's a TV show on Netflix called Alter Carbon. One of the episodes deals with that. These guys, they put on these things and they get into this virtual reality, and it's so real. It seems so real, and they're like actively having sex in this virtual world.
Yeah.
And they're both married to real women, but they just get so immersed in this virtual world, they lose themselves. These people aren't making these things.
Nah, I hear that.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, my mind's blown, bro.
It's scary. It's scary. Like, I think we're already in the midst of a reproductive problem because the statistics bear it out that most women today are only making themselves available to about 15 to 20% of all men who are of reproductive age who are single. So already we're at a point that the data is showing that 20% of all men who are single and of reproductive age are the only ones who are actually having sex. The other 80% of the men who are of reproductive age who you know what I'm saying, aren't having sex. Either because of an amalgamation of reasons, like you said, it can be because of technology, these virtual metaverses, as you say, or simply because they are sort of phasing themselves out of the running of being chosen by women because they just don't, focus on self-improvement or whatever you want to talk about. But these things are already happening, bro.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
I think we discussed this before, bro. It's a skill talking to women, bro.
Yeah.
And you got to go out there and, like skateboarding, you got to fall off that thing. You're going to have to scrape your knee. You're going to have to go out there and you have to keep going until you get it right. Now you're just kicking ollies because you're just kicking ollies. But you got to get to that point. There's no way you're hopping off the couch and thinking you're going to be Tony Hawk out there.
Yeah. It's not going to
It
happen.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so what's going on is that from all the amalgamation of reasons,
Mm-hmm.
there's a divide, there's a disconnect from the bare essentials of, hey man, you need to go out there and go scrape your legs up, bro. Go out there and go make some errors. You know what I'm saying? To the point to where making it transactional just makes so much sense now. I really don't even know how to get women anyway. Let me pay for it.
Yeah.
We're already there anyway. Like
We are there.
it's playing out now. I think that's why it's so mad to us. We keep talking, it's going to be. No, I think the reason why this is so mind warping to us is because we are living in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
This is how it looks when society and humanity devolves.
Yeah. It's just we're not recognizing it because as kids we always thought we was going to be looking at flying cars and stuff like that. We're already here. Like it's already here. Like
this is it.
Yeah, we're in it. We're firmly in it.
This is it.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer in the theory of it's self-imposed infertility. That's what it is. Like there's a movie, and we're gonna go ahead and end it, but there's this movie called Children of Men. I don't know if you've seen it, but it depicts a dystopian society in which infertility has made the world just go crazy. Society has crumbled due to infertility. But in the movie, that happened because of some kind of virus or something that kind of just caused humans to be devoid of the ability to reproduce. We're self-imposing this on ourselves. And we love all of these technologies and this internets and all of this kind of stuff, but it is having a lot of unintended consequences that we are going to have to reconcile with at some point. Because it's in my opinion, a lot of it is doing more harm than good. But I'm just trying to. That's why like we talked about off camera last week. I'm trying to get my plot of land and get what I can so that I can live out my days and live my best life, because things are undergoing a tremendous facelift in a dangerous direction.
Yeah, and my closing notes on this is take care of you and yours. But this information and other information out there that's talking about the topics that we're talking about, empower yourself. Move beyond the herd. Move beyond the herd.
Yeah.
Be the best version of yourself. Don't go for this stuff out here. It is all of it's fugazi, bro. Yeah. All of it is all a sham, honestly.
Yeah.
And so just going out there, taking care of you and yours. We're not going to save the world here, guys.
No.
We're just not. There's going to be a small group of people who actually get this stuff. And now that you get it, go practice it. And the cool part about this is that everybody doesn't have to be in on it in order for it to be a change in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So what I do is I just bestow the information upon whoever's willing to listen, you know, because I went through these things for good reason.
Yeah.
And it's to share my experiences. And so now that I'm aware of this information at the rate, the way that I know it now, it's just like, now I'm just going to share the information and give back.
Yeah.
And give back. So share this with the people that you know, because at this point, for you being here, you are in a position to where you don't go along with the mainstream. You do have a mind of your own. Use that to your advantage in your own world and in your own reality. and make your reality the one that you want, because that's what we're here to do. And we're here to, and as men, as being creators, we have the ability to create the reality that we want for ourselves. And I'm pretty sure yours wants to be abundant. So at that point, if you are somebody out there who would desire multiple women, you could get that. Or if you want one that's really loyal, as stated earlier, you will be in a position to pick that woman. And given today's way of doing it, she's not going to be assigned to you. So you're going to have to do some type of picking. But through the midst of the ones that's just coming for the bag, there's going to be good ones in the bunch. And then you can pick the good one out the bunch. So you can get the life that you want. Stop listening to the cap. Stop listening to these women. They talking one language, but subconsciously they mean another. They say stay in frame, please. Make more money, financially dominate me. In the bedroom, physically dominate me. They want to be dominated, but not in a bad way, not in a weird way, in a way that basically they want to be submissive. And they only want to be submissive to a man that they feel is more masculine than them. How can you be more masculine than any woman, even the masculine ones? Being in your frame and non-compromising. Being in your frame, never compromising. The most masculine of women couldn't cross you, because you would put her in her place to the point where she's not even relevant to you anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at that point, being in frame at all time, you're going to get the respect you deserve. And so that's what I've learned. That's what these situations are teaching and preaching. That men don't go for the foolishness. Stay in frame.
Stay in frame, man. So however this situation plays out between these two individuals, good luck to them. But I mean, you get what you put into it. People, just understand your outcome, and that falls more on her than him, in my opinion. But we'll go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and end the stream, man. Guard your grills and stand your ground, man, on some real stuff. But definitely make sure that you check out all of the content on the various channels. We on Facebook, Instagram, as well as the website consciousapproach.com. We're on Facebook at Conscious Approach. You can also follow the Conscious Approach page on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. You can find me on the Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. I'm also on Facebook at Javis Ogden, JAVIS OGDEN. Twitter, same thing. It's all love. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Appreciate you hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button if you like the commentary. Wherever you're watching this video, if you happen to be watching this on the upload on Facebook, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, obviously, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button. This is commentary that we like to get out there because it's good talk, good logic, trying to grow the community. So until the next time you see my face or you see our face on the channel, keep it logical, continue to support logical content, and I'll surely appreciate it.
Yep. And the name is Dogon SS, as you see, spelled just like that, DOGON. All right, SS. But on Instagrams, all right, is Dogon _SS. All right. Don't forget the SS. All right, Dogon _SS. And on YouTube's, it is Dogon SS. Like and subscribe over there. I got some videos. It's a party. And as I already mentioned before, and as I always say, generally at the end of all of these streams, keep it neutral, keep it player, keep it chill. When things are going crazy, stay smooth in the pocket. All right. Don't tap your toes. Don't be Sam Darnold seeing ghosts in a pocket. There are no ghosts. When that defensive tackle is coming down at you in life, that defensive tackle is coming down at you, you have to stand firm. You know what I'm saying? Look that gun dead in the barrel. and throw a bullet and take that hit. Because guess what? By doing that, stand firm, stand with your technique, and all of that, following through, you're going to connect. You're going to connect.
Yeah.
Stand firm in life, man. So keep it chill, keep it player, stay poised.
Yeah, you'll connect at some point, man.
You'll
For
connect.
sure. But until next time, this is another good live stream in the books, man. Myself, JB Williams, Dogon SS. We're going to holler at y'all. Continue to support logical content. We'll see you later.